unbelievable limits. Among his many accomplishments, he has run 50 marathons in all 50 US states in 50 consecutive days. He has run across Death Valley in the middle of summer, and he has run a marathon South Pole. On 10 separate occasions, he's run a 200-mile relay race solo, racing alongside teams of 12. His list of competitive achievements include winning the world's toughest foot race, the Badwater Ultra Marathon, and winning the 4 Desert Challenge, racing in the hottest, driest, windiest, and coldest places on earth. A New York Times best-selling author, Dean is a frequent speaker and panelist at many running and sporting events worldwide. And one of my favorite accomplishments is running 350 miles in 80 hours and 44 minutes. Absolutely incredible. And let's not forget the reason that we're here. He is the author of 5 books. First, Road to Sparta. He has also authored Run, 26.2 stories of blisters and bliss. He has authored 50/50, as well as one of my personal favorites, Ultra Marathon Man, and finally, A Runner's High. Let's give it up for Mr. Dean Karnazes.
That was awesome, Robert.
It was
an amazing introduction. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy.
More than worthy.
So, Robert had like days to prepare, right? No, actually, I just asked Robert just a few minutes before the show, so he did fantastic. I'm super impressed. So thank you. Tonight we're going to spend a little time with Dean, and the floor is open for questions. If you want to have questions or want to talk a little bit about his book or any other question, I think is pretty much fair game. Dean can say, I'm not answering it, but besides that, yeah, pretty much open. So does anybody want to start us off with a question for Dean? Or Dean, would you like to start us off with anything?
Yeah, I mean, first I want to express my appreciation that you all gathered. I really, it's wonderful to see so many faces, and we are starting to run together finally. And I just wish I could be there in person. I'm in California, but I'm sending good vibes your way and sending my spirit, and we will run together one day. My most recent book, A Runner's High, is somewhat of an escapism book. It's kind of, I wrote it a lot for the reader's literary pleasure. I just thought that it's kind of heavy, everything that's going on right now. And when we go for a run, we kind of unburden ourselves, right? The heaviness of being is kind of lifted from our shoulders for a bit of time. And that's how I wrote this book. I wrote it to be propulsive, that, once you started getting into the story, you just kind of join along for the ride or for the run. And you kind of forget about, your worries and your concerns for a while. So there's no, I'm not prescribing anything in this book. I'm not advocating anything other than, a love of running, which I think we all share. But if you've had a chance to read the book, I hope you enjoyed it. And if you haven't, maybe you'll consider picking it up.
Excellent. And our group is doing the first 5 chapters tonight is where we're at. So we just started the book. I know some people have ordered book plates. There's still book plates available if you want one shipped to you. It's on the Ornery Mule website, and Michelle can get it shipped. Dean sent them our way, and I don't know, Michelle, have you received them? Because I never asked.
I don't have them that I know of.
Okay.
We're right in the middle of we got Kettle Moraine 100 in a week, so we have a lot of boxes getting shipped to our house. So there's a chance that I don't know that we have it.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, so if you want one, that's still available too, so you can have his autograph. So I do have to ask a question. Dean, what are those gold shoes behind you?
Yeah, so one time I ran 50 marathons in all of the 50 US states in 50 days. And at the end, they had my shoes bronzed.
Oh, that's awesome.
They didn't smell very good, so they figured let's make them solid. And you guys, can you see these two things?
Yes.
Yes.
They look like baseball bats.
Baseball bats? Yeah.
They're Olympic torches. So I've carried,
Oh,
I've carried the Olympic torch twice, and they let you keep the torch when you carry it.
that's
That's
very
amazing.
cool.
Yeah.
Nice. I carried the torch for Special Olympics before, but they don't let you keep the torch.
Oh. And you probably see all the medals. I don't have a Kettle of Rain 100, and that's on my life list. But there's Western States. I think Badwater's in there somewhere. There's Boston in 2013. I don't know if anyone else ran in 2013, but that was the year of the bombing.
Yeah, Kettle is the second weekend of June if you can get it on your schedule for next year. This year, we kind of didn't really know if we were having the race. And I mean, I just kept working with DNR like we were. Like I wasn't really told yes, but I'm like, you're not telling me no. And we are having a race. Everything's, we're super excited. It's much smaller than normal, but it's going to be fantastic to be together. But yeah, second weekend of June. So a little close to Western States 100.
Yeah, I'd love to do them back to back. And, I'm glad you're able to do it. Western States is supposed to happen as well.
Yeah.
California, we're still officially quote unquote locked down until the 15th of June. So I think you guys have opened up quicker than we have. Although it sounds like you're experiencing kind of an uptick as well with COVID.
I don't really know. I've been too busy getting ready for Kettle to pay attention to that. So I didn't realize that we were.
Although I did get an email today, I'm getting ready to run 6 days in the Dome in Milwaukee. And they said Wisconsin has opened up, so we can have spectators and crew. So that's good. Good news, I think.
Hey, Dean, I got a question for you right off the bat before I forget about it, because we're talking about Kettle and my brain's a little on Kettle right now. But so we're doing live broadcasting at Kettle, and we're so kind of like what Cocodona 250 did. We got a cruise there. Would you want to call in for sometime during the 30 hours of the race? I don't want to put you on the spot. I'm sorry if I put you on the spot. But I figured after Robert's nice introduction, maybe.
I will be commentating.
Yeah, Robert's commentating.
That whole introduction he was just buttering me up.
I had no idea Robert was doing that.
Yeah, no, reach out to me. I would love to do that. I'm happy to join, and thank you for the invitation.
Okay, well, yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's 30 hours anytime in that 30 hours. I'd love to have you on when Robert's on. Robert's going to be great. And he's a super fan, so that would be awesome.
Yeah, Robert, reach out to me. You guys have my email, so let's coordinate it.
Okay,
thank
that
you,
sounds
Dean.
great. Yeah, thanks. All right, does anybody have a question or comment about the book that you would like to share? Lordies, you're muted.
Yeah. Okay. There. So my question is, why Western?
Why?
I saw your ultra sign up, and it just seems, Western is one of the ones that you've definitely gone back to repeatedly. So I was just curious.
It's because it was my first 100-miler, and I wrote about it in my first book, Ultra Marathon Man, which was a kind of a coming of age book. It was me learning about these crazy races called ultra marathons, and me thinking I'm not good enough, but I just gotta try it, and finishing Western States, and that was back in 1994. And A Runner's High is somewhat of a sequel to that book, so it's returning more than 2.5 decades later, and describing how the experience has changed and over time, both the race itself and ultra running, the sport itself, as well as how I've changed in 2.5 decades. And it's how we all change. It's not it's the story's about me, but it's a very universal tale. I think it's something that anyone who's been at this sport for a while can relate to. But that's why I went back to Western States. And
with the different sort of experience now that you came back to it with, how, were you more scared in the beginning, not knowing what you were going to face, or you more trepidatious now knowing what it entailed? You know what I mean? Yeah, you got to read the book. Well, but no, I mean, to your point,
it was kind of, the whole thing was kind of harrowing because I got waitlisted. I still apply. For those of you that don't know about Western states, it's a lottery to get in, and the odds are almost impossible. The odds of getting in to Western states are lower than the odds of getting into Harvard. It's ridiculous. There's something like 15,000 lottery tickets for 369 available spots. So I got put on something called the wait list, which means I wasn't guaranteed entry. If people dropped out, I'd end up, getting into the event. I just thought no one is going to drop out because it's so hard to get in. Why would you ever drop out? You've spent years just trying to get in the dang thing. And I started moving up on the wait list. And, with 2 weeks to go, I'm thinking, oh no, I think I'm going to get into Western states. And I was untrained. So I threw myself into this 100K as kind of to hack my training. Mm-hmm. And it was terrifying. And I mean, the wheels came off, and I described very intimately what happened, during this 100K, untrained and unprepared, and, basically getting brutalized. I don't want to be a spoiler, so I won't tell you how it finished, but it's a good story. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
If I can add, I love how you said that, Dean, where you said you intimately described it. This book was one of the funnest books I've ever read because of how you described every single little detail in the book. It was like a roller coaster ride of words, and it was just so fun to read. What did I wrote down here? Like, your style was so energetic and visionary when you're in your writing.
Well, I do a lot of my writing when I'm running. I think all of us can relate to the fact that we have some of our clearest thoughts when we're out running. So I carry a digital recorder with me, and I dictate my thoughts. And then when I come home, I just put in an earbud and type it up. So I think, the runner's voice comes through in the book because I was actually running when I wrote it.
I got a quick question. I believe I remember, so I listened to the book, and I got the most miles in it. I think it felt like I got it done in like 2 days, because I was like, I'm going to go out and do some miles because I want to keep listening to the book. So it was really super fast. It was a great listen. I think I remember the word ornery in there. Did we inspire that?
The what word?
The word ornery.
Oh,
Ornery Mule racing.
You guys, I use that to describe my dad, and it was totally inspired by your club. I mean, I love your stuff. Your gear is the best. I recommend everyone check out this sweatshirt and look at this hat. Yeah, your stuff is the best.
You. Yeah, I heard that. I'm like, hey, I wonder, because I don't want to give anything away, but I'm like, when this was wrote, there's a good chance we already had talked. So yeah, really good. It was fantastic, and how Robert described, it was just delicious, nonstop, exciting words. So well written, really exciting. So I've listened, but now I want to go back and sit on the couch and read it and just savor every bit of it. But really great job, Dean.
Well, it's funny. I got it right before we got on this call. I checked my emails, and a guy sent me an email. He said that last night he was going to read a couple chapters before bed, and he said 6 hours later he finished the last page, and then he went running. My response to him was, "I'm just glad you still like me."
Yeah, it was really good. I and just such a huge amount, we learned so much about many different things about you that was interesting, and you really opened yourself up, and I loved hearing about your family too.
Well, I'd love to bring my mom and dad. My mom and dad have crewed for me at every Western States over 25 years. So I'd love to bring them out next year for your race.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Kettle is absolutely gorgeous. I'm in Illinois, and it's only an hour north, and I feel like we're going into Oregon, when I get onto the trail. Not that, but that's saying that Wisconsin's not great, but Wisconsin is great. It's just much different than Illinois, and it's just so lush and gorgeous right now.
Yeah, no, I did the North Face when the North Face used to have their event there. So I've spent I spent a lot of time on the trail, and you're right. It's amazing. It's so unexpected when you think of, you know, the Midwest.
Yeah. We'll keep in touch for next year for sure. And yeah, but I don't want to hog up all the time. I want to let everybody else that's here get to ask questions.
So I also listened to the book, and thank you for writing such a wonderful book. I listened to it when I was driving up to the Eastern UP, and the miles just were flying by. Like Michelle, I wanna go back and read it. And I actually had watched the documentary Ultra Marathon Man that you did back when I was working on my specialty license for my alcohol and drug certification for my social work license. And we had this great discussion. It kicked off our unit on positive addictions. And I'm just wondering how your thoughts on ultra running and the place in it in your life has changed over the years for you.
Yeah, I mean, I still consider myself an addict. I still, I mean, even though I'm an older man now, I still have as much energy and I still have as much anxiety, and I still need that release valve.
Yeah.
And I turn to running for that. If I didn't have running, you know, I'd be very scared because I need something to kind of take the tension away and lighten the load, if you will. And I'm an introvert, so I get real, you know, I'm not comfortable in crowds of people. And to me, running is kind of an escape. You know, I just go run off in the trails for hours, and it's kind of where where I'm reborn. And so I very much use running as therapy and as a place to heal, more so now than ever. I've got to be honest. You know, I used to tell people all the time, oh, you got to try running. It just clears your head, and it's great for overcoming addictions and so forth. But I've kind of taught myself that lesson over this past year, because it's been real rough being isolated from others. As much as I like running by myself, I also miss the group run experience.
Yeah, thank you. I can relate. I kind of came to ultra running through the pandemic, and I really feel like it saved me. And I'm excited to actually have some opportunities to really gather with groups again of people.
And can I ask something personal? I mean, were you an addict, or you just you know, you're interested in counseling?
Yeah. So, well, I guess I wouldn't classify myself as an addict, but I've certainly had struggles in my own life. And I've found I have Tourette syndrome, and I feel like running has been a great release to just stay more focused. It keeps my tics in check. I can just, you know, like you said, it becomes such a part of my life for regular coping. I'm just a better all around human when I get to run.
And I'm going to brag on Ellie for a second. She just ran her first 62K. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And she was Grandmaster. So, yay.
Congrats.
Thanks. It was a small field. I was the only Grandmaster in the room.
That's okay. The others aren't doing it, so it counts.
All right, I'll take it.
Okay, who's next?
Hi, my name's Elena. I'm new to the group. I stayed up till midnight reading your book last night. And I felt like it was very reflective on how your choices have impacted your family, and kind of coming to terms with some of that, especially with your son. And with coming to terms with getting older and how that's impacting your running. Is there anything you regret or anything you would have changed over your running career?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because in this book I talk about you know, being a father, and responsibility I take very seriously. And you know, there's a saying in parenthood that in school you know, you get the lesson and then you take the test. In parenting, you take the test and then you get the lesson. So, you know, would I have been around more when my kids were young? Because I mean, I've run on all 7 continents twice, and you know, I've been globetrotting ever since they were born. I'm not sure I would. I think that I don't think they're clingy. I don't think they really miss dad per se. And I think they appreciated me more when I was around. And also I took them on a lot of my trips. Would I do anything differently with my running? Maybe when I was younger, I would have taken it more seriously. Back when I was in my prime, which was, in my 30s and early 40s, I was spending as much time surfing as I was training for ultra running. I never had a coach, I never had any serious training blocks. I was just, loving the sport and getting after it. And, maybe if I'd been a little more disciplined in my younger career, I would have ended up on the podium more often. But I don't know. I think, you can always look back and say, I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have done that. Overall, I think, the course of my life it's been my own. That's what I'm most proud of. I've charted my own course through life. I've just dictated my own terms, and, the mistakes I've made and the lessons I've learned have hopefully made me better. And I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
It's funny because I think my next book will be about my mom and my daughter, because I have an equally interesting relationship with those two. But I kind of focus more on my dad and my son, because my dad's a little bit older, honestly. And, he's 85, and I don't know how much longer he's going to be around. So I figured I'll dedicate this one to him. My mom's 80, and she's still, every morning she walks a 10K. So she's still going strong.
Yeah, I loved hearing about them. The way you describe them, it just makes me laugh. They just sound like they're a lot of fun to be around.
Yeah, they're a hoot. We have a lot of fun together. In fact, it's funny, I take them everywhere. I had a friend that once said to me, his biggest regret in life was that he didn't spend more time with his parents before they passed away. And when he said that, it just really struck home. And I thought, I'm never gonna look back and say, I wish I would have spent more time with my parents. So I literally, everywhere I go, I take them. And I used to wonder, race directors would contact me from, races in Europe or in Asia or Australia, and invite me to come down and do their race. And, I would ask them, can I bring my parents? And I thought they'd kind of react like, oh God, this guy's kind of weird. But universally, without exception, all of them had said, really, you want to bring your mom and dad? That's great. Please, we'd love to have them. So I think that speaks well about the ultra running community globally, that they're very, very inclusive.
That's awesome. We should have invited them tonight. Next time you come, you need to bring your parents.
Yeah, I just thought about that.
Are they tech savvy? Can they do a Zoom?
Yeah, they can do Zoom. Just don't have my dad start texting you, because you need a code breaker to try to decipher his text.
Who's next? Who else has a question?
You guys can ask me anything. It doesn't have to be about the book.
I was gonna mention, Dean, you talked about your dad and the relationship with your dad. By the way, I loved it. It really spoke to me and my heart and my relationship with my dad. And while I've been in running all my life, I really didn't get serious about it until a couple of years ago. And especially in the last 2 years, my relationship with my dad has gotten closer and closer to now. I'm just, it might be weird to say, but I'm in love with my dad. We have such a close, beautiful relationship. And you sharing about your dad just really resonated with me. So thank you for that.
Well, I think we've all seen this when there's a relationship and one of the parties starts running, especially running ultra marathons, it's very divisive. It either tears people apart, and I've seen relationships, just completely blown to smithereens when one of the partners starts ultra marathoning, and I've seen it bring people closer together.
Yeah.
So it sounds like that's been the case with my mom and dad. It sounds like it's been the case with your father as well.
It has, yes, yeah.
Yeah, Robert, do you want to share a little bit, kind of elaborate on sort of your mission with your running that's been happening, and how your dad has kind of connected that, or you and your dad have connected, I guess, through that?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Loretta.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad is a retired Chicago police officer, And over the last 6 to 8 months, I've really gotten involved with mental health awareness and suicide prevention. And I've begun doing some charity runs for that purpose. And so a couple of months ago, I did a race called the Potawatomi 200. It's in Peoria, Illinois. And I dedicated that race to raise awareness and support for mental health resources for the Chicago Police Department, because my dad retired from there. And that really brought my dad and I really close together. He came out to the run for the first time in my life. He came out to a run, and the run wasn't 30 minutes away. It was 3 hours away. Oh, and my dad is in a wheelchair. So he's paralyzed from the waist down. And so there are the photographer captured some beautiful pictures of my dad and I embracing, and because he was there to see me at the very end of the two. I ended up finishing 170 miles in 70 hours. And so, yeah, it was just a wonderful experience with it. It's like we said, it really brought us closer together.
Yeah, it sounds amazing, and kudos to your dad for getting out there in a wheelchair of all things.
Yes. In fact, Bob McCrory, who's on here, he was one of my crew guys. Hey, Bob. And of course, my coach Loretta is here. Loretta's my coach. And I'm trying to see if there's anybody else on here.
I don't think Elizabeth is here yet. She had baseball or something, and she was going to try to get on after the baseball. But so since that's kind of a segue into share with the group what your mission is now. You got something coming up here in a couple weeks.
I do. In fact, I'm going to do another run for the Chicago Police suicide prevention and mental health to get resources for them. And I'm going to be running through the city of Chicago. It's a total distance of 80 miles. And I'm going to run from police district to police district. There's a total of 22 districts. They're an average of 3.5 miles apart. And I'm super excited about it. I really believe we're gonna get the officers the resources that they need to begin making a difference in their lives, to begin understanding that it's okay not to be okay. And the other reason this is so close to my heart is because I have also dealt with mental illness. I'm a suicide survivor from years and years ago. And I just can't imagine all of the challenges that the first responders in general are going through with regard to the jobs that they do on a daily basis. They see so many horrific incidences, oftentimes without the help that they need to learn how to cope, to manage those situations. And so my goal here is to really meet them right where they work. As they run into danger for us, I'm going to run through the exact same streets for them. And I'm hoping to get people to join me. So anybody who's on here and you want to come and run with me through the city of Chicago, whether it's for a couple of miles or the whole 80 miles, I'd love to have you guys, Dean, including you.
I think when are you doing this?
It's June 19th and 20th. So it's Father's Day weekend.
I think if I start running right now, I might be able to make it in time. I don't own a car. That's that's one thing I talk about in my book. And
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that it was really interesting about that you bike around every place. And I just got myself a fancy new bike, and I'm trying to think about doing that. Like, do you carry a backpack? Like, how are you, like, if you, I don't want to give anything away, I'm afraid, because I'm farther in the book than everybody, but like, you go into meetings and stuff, like, how do you manage that? Because I need to set a bike up.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't even have a bike. I run. So I have
Okay.
different size backpacks depending on where I'm going. And obviously, thankfully my diet has changed a lot. So I eat pretty healthy because I can only carry home so much food. So I've got to go to the market a lot to get fresh food, because you can't put it's hard to carry a gallon of milk home in your backpack, but and the other thing is that it completely upends your life. I mean, it completely changes the way you conduct your life, because if you got to go to a meeting somewhere, like I live, as I was saying, just north of San Francisco, and I have a lot of meetings in San Francisco, and it takes me about 2.5 hours to run there. So if I've got a meeting, I've got to prepare. I can't just say, oh, I'll drive there in 20 or 30 minutes. I've got to start a lot earlier. But that's how I do it. And, I've been doing this for 10 years, and now I'm kind of used to it. And, honestly, I've got a lifestyle that lets me do this. And so I figured if I can go without a car, I should go without a car. And that's been my dedication.
Do you know other people that do that? I mean, I do know one other guy that does that. I'm just curious if that's what a lot of people do that I just don't know.
A lot of people are starting to foot commute now. A whole lot of people. In fact, there's a company, the Swedish company, that makes these special hard case backpacks for run commuters. So you can actually, this is crazy. You can actually put a full suit, like a suit and a tie, in one of these things and fold it up and put it on your back and run somewhere.
Now, I would be really stinky if I did that. How do you do that? I'm telling you, I'd be a hot mess.
Now they sell these organic these wipes, like these clean wipes, like a handy wipe that's with aloe. Yeah, I know that's to me that's a little extreme.
Huh, that's cool. So my son is hoping to move to San Francisco, and he's finishing his master's degree in biomechanics. So maybe he can hook up with you sometime when he goes there and check out your mechanics.
I'd love to show him around the trails.
Yeah. His girlfriend goes to Berkeley.
Oh, she goes to Cal. Yeah, I'm not far from there.
Yeah.
I see Bob.
Oh, yes.
McCroy. That's hard. Your name is really small. Is it McCroy?
McCrory.
Oh, there's another R in there now.
I wasn't sure if I could unmute myself or if I have to wait for them to unmute. And I'm actually on my way home, Dean. I got a chance to log on. That's why I don't have the video running. But I just wanted to get a chance to just mention something to you and let you know that my ultra running career, we'll call it, started with your first book. I mean, that's what took me into ultras, way back in 2006, I think it was when I read it, and jumped out to the Ice Age Trail for my first 50. And I just want to mention, on my birthday, you mentioned the North Face run up there. On my birthday, one of the years you were out there running it, you were running late for the race, and I guess somehow you wound up running up to my wife, and my wife wound up putting on your bib for you and everything while you were trying to get to the start of the race. Do you recall that at all?
Your poor wife.
I just remember getting done with the race, and I'm like, hey, I saw Dean out there, and she's like, yeah, I had to put his bib on. He showed up like right as the gun went off.
I remember that now. I do remember that. That is so funny. Yeah, please thank her for me. I didn't get to thank her. Yeah, she helped me and I just took off.
Yep. Yeah, I just wanted to chime in for a second, Dean. Thanks for being on. I haven't had a chance to read the new book. I'm waiting to very shortly here. I'm very excited you wrote it. So I'll have my feedback later on.
Thanks, Bob. I hope you enjoyed the book. I think it's a good sequel to that first book. And again, thank your wife. Thank your wife.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Dean.
Thanks, Bob, for sharing. That's a great story. Small world, isn't it?
Well, he said he was driving. I wanted to ask him, why isn't he running home from work?
Because I commute very far. I would love to do that. And actually, I've been dared by my friends to do that multiple times. I used to work, now I'm only about 50 miles from home, but I used to be about 70 miles from home. And there was a standing bet that I just couldn't get them to pay up for, that if I was to run home from where I was working, that they were all going to ante up about $100 from 10 different people and pay me $1,000 to run home on a Friday night. And I was like, I'm in, let's get this done. And then I wound up changing jobs and never got a chance to do it.
Oh.
That's awesome. All right, who's next?
Hey, my name is Cheryl, and I'm from Rockford, Illinois. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Yeah, we hear
Oh.
you. Yeah.
We hear
All right.
you. We don't see you.
I know. I just pulled into my garage as well.
Oh, okay.
I was just driving home from work. And anyway, I just have to say, Dean, you've been a huge influence in my running. I haven't done any ultras yet, but I've run quite a few marathons. And last year, before COVID shut everything down, I did the Dopey Challenge down at Disney, which is the 48 miles in 4 days, which was quite a stretch for me. But man, I've trained listening to your books, and I'm listening to this new one, and I can't wait to finish it and just read it cover to cover again. So I just thank you for such a positive influence, and it's really neat that you're with this book club tonight. And Loretta, thank you for sending me the link so I could jump on. This is my first time being able to be in this book club. I just really appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you. What a lovely mess. What a lovely thing to say. Yeah. I hope we can share some footsteps together one day.
You know, that would be amazing. You know, I've followed your story, you know, read your books, and just, you know, like from, I don't know, I think I've read almost everything you've put out. And yeah, that would be amazing. It'd be really an honor to meet you. And you're just, I don't know, I'm kind of starstruck, so I sound like a geek right now, but.
Thanks so much for joining us, Cheryl. I'm glad you're able to be here tonight.
Thank you.
Well, it looks like Tara has a question, and I didn't think Tara was going to be here tonight, so I'm excited that she's here.
Yes, I'm driving back from my nephew's 9th birthday.
Yay.
So, but I want to say, Dean, I love the part in your book about the sticker. When you have to do an out and back, you have to have a sticker. You don't want to do the out and back, because mine's sustained to my first 100, which I've done 3 times now straight. I've done it every year, and I'm going for my 4th year again. And there's an out and back where you have to punch the bib, and I feel your pain on having to go to that out and back and hit it. So, but I have to do it 5 times because ours is a 20-mile loop that you have to do 5 times. So I just love that part of the book. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, that was quite unexpected. And for those of you that don't know what Tara's referring to, in the 100-kilometer race I described in the book, there's a point where they kind of send you off into the desert, into like no man's land. And I said, well, where's the turnaround point? And the guy said, well, you look for a stick. And when you get to this stick, there's a bunch of smiley face stickers on there below it, and put one of those on your bib. So we have a proof that you made it to this stick. And I said, you're crazy. What? I'm going to run into the desert, 10 miles out into the desert, and look for a stick, and then put a smiley face sticker on my bib. And he was serious. And yeah, I somehow found the stick and put a sticker on my bib and returned.
Not just one sticker, many stickers.
I still have my race number. Yeah, and it's got like 5 stickers on it.
That's fun. Michelle, maybe you need to add stickers to your races.
Yeah, we could do that at Hennepin. We got a little out and back on there, and that's not the way we do it, but I think a sticker sounds fun.
Yeah.
We could call it the Carno out and back.
Yeah, we'll do like little pictures of Carno.
Oh, there you go. Like those fat heads, but in a little tiny sticker.
Yeah.
Head. Yeah.
I think we need to, here, I'll write that down. We got that.
You should get donkey butts. That's what you should get.
There you go.
In the tail on the donkey butt.
Who else has a question or a comment?
I have a question. Well, a
All right.
comment and a question.
Sure.
I love that part of the book too. I actually just read that today. I was sitting in my truck laughing all by myself about the sticker part. And then the pina colada part. That was pretty funny too. I actually would have loved to have been a fly on that stick when you finally got to it, because I bet that was something to see. But in your book, you had mentioned that the next generation is changing everything, and it's becoming a different sport now. I was just wondering if you're comfortable like elaborating on that, and if you had anything that, like, you know, over your years and seeing the changes over the time, like if you have anything that you would tell this next generation.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the first year I ran an ultra marathon was 1993. And in North America in 1993, there were 3,500 finishers of an ultra marathon. Most of those were white men. In last year, or 2019, the last year we could actually race, there was 138,000 finishers of an ultra marathon in North America. And as we know, it's a much more diverse crowd. It's almost 50-50 split between men and women. So the sport has changed in that regard. It's also, there's been a shift in, the competitiveness of the sport. There's an elite element that is stronger now than there ever was. I just hope that the sport doesn't become about elitism. To me, the beauty of an ultra marathon is the mid pack, or the end of the pack. And that's really the spirit of these races. So ultra marathons have kind of a, homespun, grungy feel to them. And to me, that's magical. I've done all the major marathons, and it's an ultra marathon is such a different experience than going to like a major marathon. And I really enjoy it. It's just, there's something that's campy about it, and very endearing. So I just hope that, we don't just only focus on the front runners, and it becomes all about time and winning races. I mean, certainly that element's exciting, and it's brought some excitement to the sport, but I hope the sport doesn't become, dictated by that. I think it would lose some of the charm. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. And I really loved how you put in the book about when you got the medal, it had like all the distances on it. So it didn't really matter which one, because like each person has their struggle. And I really appreciated that you highlighted that, because I think that we've all been there, I haven't done an ultra yet, but I'm going to someday. But and then like others, I didn't even know that the ultra world existed until like 2 years ago. I actually found your book at the library and ended up reading it. Now I've read every single book and own them. And with social media and stuff, I'm sure that it's becoming much more like known. And so yeah, that answered my question. Thank you.
Yeah, and the other thing that I've really advocated for is more liberal cutoff times for ultra marathons. I've done races, especially in Australia. For some reason, Australia has really embraced ultra marathoning. And I did a race there. There was a 100K and a 50K. So a 50K is 31 miles and 100K is 62 miles. And the cutoff for the 100K was 24 hours, which is pretty liberal. I mean, a lot of 100Ks have cutoffs, 16 or 17 hours. And a lot of people are intimidated by it, and they can't make it in that time. And the 50K had a cutoff time of 23 hours. And there were a lot of people, like older people, they were just fast hiking it, like groups of 8 or 9, fast walkers, like a hiking group that would come out. And it just brought this whole new element into ultra marathoning. And I really like that. So, I've really pushed for, having cutoff times not so tight that someone can't finish because they're just not that fast.
Yeah, it definitely makes it more encouraging. Like Ornery Mule does the Hennepin, and I actually have just learned about this. My friend Ryan, who couldn't be here tonight, told me about it, and I think they said it's a 30-hour cutoff. Is that right?
It's not 30 hours. So you start at 5 in the afternoon, and you have until 1 the next day.
Oh, okay.
And how far is it?
I would wait longer. It's a 50K. It's solid, straight on 50K.
And what's the elevation point?
Flat.
Oh, it's flat.
Like flat as can be. And it runs along a canal.
Okay. And it starts at 5 p.m.
It starts at 5 p.m. So it's a 100-mile course. So it's a point-to-point course. There is a little out and back section. And so the 50K runners start at 5. So it kind of like puts some energy into the 100-mile runners that are getting there. And you got some fresh 50K people. And yeah, it's really pretty. And I love the canal, especially at night, because because, well, it's in the middle of nowhere, so the stars are really bright, and then the water's there, and it just kind of lights up, and there's like a fog over the trail. So I love that people get to experience, the trail. I mean, it might be my favorite time there. I've actually went back and done the 50K like the month after the race, because I obviously can't do it on race day. And so I do it at night so I can enjoy the trail there. But yeah, I love that we have that option of a long cutoff.
Yeah, and I agree, Dean. I love the idea of, the longer cutoffs and making sure that we can include everybody in the sport. But, and the thing that I really love about the ultra marathons that hasn't happened, and hopefully, like you said, it doesn't happen, that in the same race, we have elites all the way down to, our very last person, hitting cutoff. And I feel like we're all in a race together. And it doesn't matter in the moment of that race, whether you're an elite or whether you are the last finisher, because everybody is encouraging and supporting everybody out there. I think I've shared this before with Book Club. I was in the race when Zach Bitter set a world record, and he's doing an out and back, and he comes by me at world record pace telling me good job, and you wouldn't see that in those elite marathons, right? It's not happening because they're in a separate race than we are. So it's really nice that that's happening, and I hope that does stay part of our sport, because I think that's what's made it so cool.
Yeah, and I write in my book, I write about the Western states, the quote unquote golden hour, which is the final hour of finishing. So the Western states has a 30-hour cutoff time, and 5 times the number of people come to watch the last hour that watch the winner. So, I mean, Jim Walmsley, the winner, is amazing, but he just flashes by you and crosses the finish line. But if you want to see human triumph, you go to the golden hour where people are coming in, they can barely walk and they're just struggling to get to the finish line. And it's really, yeah.
15 minutes to spare.
Yeah, so it. Okay, yeah, amazing.
That's why I asked, why do you keep going back to Western?
What was the crowd support like?
Oh, it was crazy. Yeah. Like almost deafening. My only complaint was that when I finished and then kind of hobbled to the medical tent, they wouldn't give me an IV. And so I just laid flat, and then they made me move to go get the buckle. And I just remember telling my husband, I don't care, just go get it. I don't care, I'm not moving, I don't care. But he did. Yeah, they got me up there.
I think you should write a book.
Okay, any other questions? Some good discussion here.
I just like to add to that for a second. Multiple of us, I know Michelle has been there. I've been there. A few of us have had multiple chances to go out to Leadville and either run or help or crew. And I would agree that the last hour at Leadville at the finish line, I've taken an opportunity each time I was out there to watch the entire last hour, and it's just an incredible thing to watch, especially at Leadville too. I mean, it's kind of the same as Western States. You get a nice big open view of the runners coming in. You get the whole time around the track. At Western States, with Leadville, you can see it's got to be a mile and a half down the hill, down the road. People turn in the corner a mile and a half away, and you're watching the clock, and it's just an amazing moment. The elites are great to watch, but that last hour is incredible.
Awesome. Thank you, Bob, for sharing that. Looks like Barb or Randy have a question.
Yeah, this is Randy with a question for Dean. You mentioned in your book about becoming an aging runner, of which I can definitely relate to. I'm 57. So I'm going to start reading the book this weekend, but right now, what advice could you give somebody like me how to balance that? You got to get your miles in, you got to work hard, but you got to rest and recover too, because you're a little older. So, just a quick piece of advice.
Yeah, I mean, I am a big advocate for cross training. So I really think that you should strengthen your overall body versus just your legs through running. I think if you just run, it's kind of a recipe for disaster. So I would encourage you to cross train. I would also say follow that hard, easy routine. Some days when you go hard, like today I did a hard 5-mile run, but my heart rate was, almost at max the whole time. And it was just 5 miles, but, I was gassed at the end. So do shorter, harder runs, and then, do what's called LSD, long, slow distance. Just when you go out for your longer runs, go really slow. And also buy a pair of Hokas.
Oh.
Well, there's a lot of good shoes out there nowadays, but I think, the other thing that, I think we touched upon is I never sit, like you can see right now, I'm standing up. I never sit down, when I'm doing my emails or interviews or things like Zoom meetings like this, I'm always standing up. So I think that being on your feet all day, and I'm also barefoot, I'm just kind of hopping around on my toes. I think being on your feet all day is really strength building. People say, aren't you exhausted after standing all day? And the truth is, I used to be exhausted after sitting all day. I feel much more energetic when I'm standing all day.
Thanks for sharing that. We recently had Pam Reed on the podcast, and she is also an aging runner and still very successful, but she talks about how she does things all the time, all day long. So kind of like you're saying with cross training. So she's swimming, she's roller skating, she's hiking, she's running. So she's might not be doing as many of the really long runs. She's breaking that up throughout the day. Do you do some of that, doing more runs or more different activities throughout the day?
Yeah, I actually have this, and Pam's a good friend of mine,
Okay.
so I really admire her. But I have this routine of it's a 12 to 14 minute, they call it HIIT training or high intensity interval training, and it's basically push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, chair dips, and something called burpees.
Oh.
I don't know if you know what burpees are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I hate burpees. I hate them too, but there's, that's like the one move you can do that's probably the most anaerobic of anything. So I do maybe 5 or 6 of those throughout the course of the day, as well as my running. And I also train on something called an elliptigo, which is a stand-up bike. I don't know if anyone's heard of an elliptigo, but it's basically a stand-up bike. So it emulates the running motion, but with zero impact because it's got wheels. So it's got this striding mechanism. It's like an elliptigo trainer in the gym, but it's on wheels. So it allows me to work out outside and get my heart rate up and strengthen my legs, but with zero impact. It's even better than Hokas.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And Pam was amazing. We really enjoyed having her on the show. Who else has a question? We just have a couple minutes and we're going to wrap up. Robert, did you have a question before we go?
I have one more question for you, Dean. So I'm going to be shooting for doing another charity run in the fall, and it's for families in need. And we talked about this actually on the last time that you were on for Ultra Marathon Man. And doing something really big really draws attention for the charity. And I'm thinking about going after the 350 miles. Now, but I'm not sure about all the details. Did you sleep at all during that run?
No, I didn't. I mean, I should clarify, I fell asleep while I was running.
Yes.
I did some sleep running, but I never stopped and slept anywhere.
And did you stop? You had help along the way of some sort?
Yeah, I mean, I had a crew with me, and there was television. There was it was filmed, so the television crew as well. I mean, they weren't really support; they were just filming. But I did have a crew, and I stopped one time to put on like a shell because it started like slightly misting, a little bit of rain. So I put on a shell and some warmer clothes. But I wore the same pair of shoes. I wore the same pair of socks.
Wow.
Yeah. I've done enough of these these really long events that I know that it comes down to relentless forward progress.
Yeah.
The fewer times you stop, the only time you're not getting to your goal is when you're not moving, and you don't have to go fast. You just have to go. So that's what I tell my crew, just keep me moving. Don't let me stop. Yeah.
And that is amazing. Your pace for that was 13 minutes and 50 seconds.
I never calculated, but and you know, I mean, do I stop to go to the bathroom? You know, if I can be personal, it helps to be a male, right?
Yes.
Because I kind of, you know, just pull the little guy out of the side of my shorts and turn sideways and waddle along.
Yeah.
And try not to get any of my shoes. And, you know, if I have to go, my kids call, you know, big potty, you know, then I stop.
Uh-huh.
You know, and use the bathroom or use the bushes. But other than that, I'm moving the whole time.
Wow. And was your intention when you started that to go for the 350, or were you running it as for something else?
Yeah, no, I was thinking that I was gonna run 350 because I thought I was gonna shoot, you know, set a goal of 500 miles nonstop. But I was at the end of 350 miles, I was so beyond out of it that I said, there's no way I'm going to try this again. Yeah, I mean, beyond the sleep running, I was hallucinating. I mean, I don't remember. I remember very little of the finish, other than, you know, I was getting interviewed by the news, and, you know, I built up so much body heat. I was running just in my shorts. I had no shirt on. And I looked around and they were all wearing like big puffy down jackets, because I finished at about 9 at night. And it struck me that, oh, it's cold out here. And before I knew it, I was having hypothermia. So I remember they put me in this mummy sleeping bag and they just closed off everything except for my mouth.
Wow. And
I was saying to them, I'm hungry. And I'd open my mouth and they were shoveling in something. I thought it was like peanut butter or oatmeal. And then I woke up the next morning and my mouth had this kind of gritty, not so great feeling. And I learned they were shoveling in hummus. They had hummus. I'm like, oh, that's gross. Like, how much hummus did I eat? And they said, well, we gave you the whole container.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Was it a flatter course? Was it hilly? I know it was in California.
It was hilly. It was rolling hills. I personally thought that the repetitive, you know, footfalls of a flat course would destroy me. So I kind of wanted some hills.
Mm.
Yeah, it was rolling.
For people that don't know what Robert's talking about, do you want to share a little, Dean, on when that was and
so
time and stuff it took?
Yeah, and in 2005, I ran 350 miles, and it was just to see if I could do it. And I used there's a race here in the San Francisco Bay Area called the Relay, or the San Francisco Relay. It's a 200-mile foot race, and I knew the course very well because I've run it solo on a dozen occasions by myself. And so I just used that course to mark the 150 miles, the 150 on top of the 200, and ran for 80 hours and 44 minutes. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow.
All
Thank
right.
you so much. Thank you, Dean.
Yeah. All right. Well, it is 9 o'clock, so I guess it's time for us to call it a wrap for tonight. But again, Dean, thank you so much for coming. We super, super appreciate you, and appreciate you taking time to sign the book plates as well. And we all really do want to meet you next year at one of our races. So hopefully you can do that. So you can reach out to me if you want a bib, and we'll make sure we get you one. We might even put a smiley face sticker on it for you if you want. But
and we want to see Mom and Dad too.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. We do.
We don't have a couch we can sleep on.
Yeah, well, we'll find something. I rent for Kettle. I rent a little lake house, so you can come hang out with us at the lake house, and they can.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. Enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone. Thank you very much for having me be part of your. Yeah. Bye.
Awesome. I'm going to do a quick picture before we go. If you just hold on 1 second. All right, I'm going to switch screens so we get other people. Okay, I think I got it. All right, thanks so much. And if everybody wants to give Dean a big round of applause, you can unmute and you can do that.
Thank you, Dean.
Thank
you, Dean.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 You did great, Robert. Whoops.
Thank you.